Hi, John.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So today I wanted to meet with you and to talk with you so we can record
Yep,
this video, this interview, this talk, however you want to say
yep.
that it is, so people can meet you and feel
Okay,
feel you and also get information about the workshop in June
okay.
and
Yep,
everything. So
yep.
if it's okay with you, we can start.
Yes,
So
That's what
so
we've
I will.
agreed.
Mhm. Tell me.
That's what we've agreed. Yep,
Then we agreed.
yep.
So I was thinking to start that you tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you come to psychotherapy, and what was your path, and everything you think is important as for you
Okay,
as an educator, as
yeah,
a psychotherapist, supervisor. It
yeah.
will be useful. Mhm.
Okay, wow. Okay. And knowing this interview was coming up, I was thinking about that and thinking, how far do I go back? And there's a bit of that remembers, even as a kid, I
Mhm.
wanted to make people better. So at first it was going to be a doctor. It was going to be, um, but actually, as a school student, I was not very good. Um, I realize now that the style of teaching didn't suit my style of learning.
Mhm.
So that's had a big influence on the way I teach now. Um, I will come to it a bit later. One of the things I have said is I don't teach, I create opportunities to learn.
Yeah.
So it's like a joint endeavor.
Mhm.
Because I find somebody just standing and giving information, I find it hard to absorb and doesn't helpful. Um, so I left school without any exams, without I got failed in everything by 1 or 2%. And for many years, I was a salesman in upmarket retail furniture.
Mhm.
Um, and I was in an organization where they did a lot of activities, and I got involved in their activities, and in time, then being part of a members committee that was, I got into working for them, and in 1972, I became a trainee youth and community worker, and as an in-service training course. And the book we had to read was "I'm Okay, You're Okay."
Burn. Mhm.
So that was a long, long time ago, and that's also where I first encountered what at the time was referred to as an encounter groups.
Mhm.
We And that was part of my youth work training. I did that for a lot of years, um, but then in around 40ish, I began to find myself very dissatisfied.
Mhm.
Um, I'd taken up, I'd got out of trying to sell things, and do the work I was doing with people, because I was much more interested in talking with people than I was in having them buy things. Um, but then I did my in-service training course, which I really, for the first time, really enjoyed learning. And from there, I went on and did my degree.
Mhm.
And stayed in youth service for some years. And when I was 42, I decided to train as a psychotherapist.
Mhm.
And I went to the Metanoia Institute, which at the time was highly recommended as a training institute. I started a TA course. I also did around 400 hours of Gestalt training while I was there. Um, Found I loved it. Um, and here I am now at 42 years later than when I first started this journey, still enjoying and still loving my work.
Mhm. And we can feel that when you work, definitely.
Yeah, good.
And for me, it's so interesting when in the beginning you said that you couldn't keep up learning within a traditional way. So you made, so now you make your own way of teaching. And it's
Yeah,
exactly that. You give the experience to people to
yeah,
learn. Yeah.
yeah. I remember a story from when I was on my youth and community work training, and the tutor said something or other about the way I was writing, what I was doing, and he said, yes, that's one of your strengths, that what you learn, you can put into practice and you can see how it relates to practice. And I said, doesn't everybody do that? And he said no. So even when I was just 2 days ago doing an online course, I was, as the person was talking, I was thinking, that's how it fits with this client. That's what it means in this relationship.
Mhm. Making
Uh,
connections.
yeah, yeah. So in pure theory, I do very little pure theory on my teaching because um, if it can't be applied, I don't see a lot of sense in it.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, but when you were here just in February and you gave also very good and structured theory, like there
Yeah,
was theory part and it's very useful on boundaries.
yeah.
And it was is also so useful. So like your combination of theory and the practice, I think it's really meaningful.
Like I will give theory where I can see it being applied.
Yeah.
Yeah, that for me that's quite important.
So, wow, your story goes so far, like when you were a kid. And what would be the thing that inspires you for so long to work this work with people and also with supervisees? What do you think is the main thing that you're still in psychotherapy, in supervision, and
I think part of it is I know how much I have changed as a man over the period of my own training and personal therapy. So I continued my psychotherapy. I passed my CTA. I took a break from personal psychotherapy for a year or two, and then went back to personal therapy. And that's what I've done. Is so there's a continue for me. We can't stand still.
Mhm.
We change, and
Mhm.
change is inevitable. Um, so that's the personal piece. And because I have got so much out of it, um, I want to be, I want people to find out who they can really be in life and enjoy life.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah. And for me, that is also treating others being okay while no, I'm okay as well. So that's still an underpinning
Mhm.
philosophy for me that I'm okay, you're okay as a psychotherapist. And we can't stay in that position permanently 100% of our time.
Mhm.
And as the psychotherapist, my job is to help people spend an increasing amount of that time
Mhm.
in that position.
Mhm.
Um, so I love the contact I have with clients, with supervisees, with teaching. I still get a buzz from it.
Mhm. It's not ending, never ending, right?
Yeah,
It seems to.
yeah. And I remember sitting at a dinner with another experienced colleague, and I must have been, I think, early 60s at the time, and saying, yeah, I shall retire when I'm 70. And this colleague looked at me and said, why?
Mhm.
And I realized I didn't really have an answer as to why. Um, so I haven't retired. I have my practice is not as busy as it was, and that's okay for me. Um, but my mind is active, and I love the
Mhm.
engagement.
Mhm. Yeah, we also experienced that last time you were here. Like for 7 hours, 2 days, you were so active and you were so giving everyone the experience, the knowledge, theory, as I said, and also the experience to learn. And also, when we are talking about all of this, what would you say? I mean, I have my own thinking about your work, but it's for me, it's more important that you describe. How would you describe your way of working with people for those who don't know you?
Uh, so I started as a classical transaction analyst. And because I was doing Gestalt at the same time, I think I really embraced redecision TA.
Mhm.
But as I continued my therapy, I realized that the relational approach uh, it brought me to new places that rather than the redecision, formally redecision type piece. Um, Now I work mainly relationally, but I think I'm an integrative, a relationally biased integrative transactional analyst.
Mhm.
Having said that, I did a post qualification or post qualification course on incorporating psychodynamic ideas into humanistic psychotherapy.
Mhm.
So that's been part of my integration.
Mhm. 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 Yeah, good. Okay. So let's see. The next question I marked here are about the workshop that's going to be here in June.
Yeah.
And when you send me the email about the workshop, what crossed my mind is how sex in the therapy room is actually so important.
Yes. Yeah.
but it's so hard to work with. I don't have so much problem, but I had a lot of experience with my own therapists
Yeah.
when it comes in the therapy that they don't know what to do there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so what I wanted to ask you is how come this important thing of every each one of us,
Yeah.
like sex, is something that it's so hard to work with in therapy? What do you think?
I don't know. I remember one of my own therapists um, said the last two things to be talked about in therapy are sex and money.
Why lost? That's exactly.
And it, for me, the restrictions we have on those conversations are cultural, whether that's our family cultural and national culture. Um, and when I say family and national culture, that includes things like the church, our religious beliefs, um, and yet, of course, sex is the most basic of human desires. We all have different sex drives, and it's a crucial part of the being. And because as a therapist, I know I had to struggle through my own. Oh, is it all right to talk about this?
Mhm, mhm,
Because that was also my family culture as well. We don't talk about sex,
mhm,
um, and it is not ethical for a psychotherapist to have that attitude. It is important, ethically important, that the client is able to talk about anything that is in their life. And whether that's from, um, I'm not sure if I really like sex, to, oh, I love being fucked from behind.
mhm.
We need to be able to stay with our client and acknowledge this is their frame of reference around sex.
Do you think now that you gave the example, I feel myself like getting red. Do you think also the shame has to do with
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we learn to be shamed.
yeah.
We learn to be shamed. Shame is a mechanism that our parents and others and the churches and others use to control us.
Mm. Mm. So we are so controlled in that domain.
We are controlled by our shame. Oh, you should be ashamed of yourself.
Mm.
Talk saying words like that, leaving your room in that untidy state. No, you shouldn't.
Mm. And also having natural desires like sex.
Yes.
You should be ashamed of.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think very often an important question to a client who isn't in relationship is, um, what's your fantasy? What's your fantasy when you masturbate?
Hmm.
And to be able to just hold that sort of,
Hmm. To
yeah.
normalize.
How much would you spend on a piece of steak?
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
And what do you think is I wrote here the question like maybe it doesn't make sense, maybe it does, but what do you think is the role of sex in the therapy room? In does it have like deeper meaning when it comes up, or what do you think about?
It's part of life.
Mm.
It's an important part of life. Um, and what I was saying about is we need to be able to be accept and freely listen and talk. And I think that's part of the workshop is that so we can act because our clients do not come necessarily with the same cultural expectations as we have
Mhm.
around sex.
Mhm.
I remember by being shocked by one woman telling me the story that she told about her sexual encounter. And I went away and thought, I really need to have a check about my attitudes, my beliefs, my thinking. So that was what brought me to, okay, this is important. Because in that moment she told me that story, I could not see, not understand her frame of reference.
Mhm. Mhm.
And that is the crucial element.
And what did you do in that specific time? Did you go to your supervisor or with you?
I went to my supervisor. I did a workshop somewhere. I talked to a colleague who was a sex therapist,
So,
and I learned a lot from
mhm.
them.
Mhm. I think that kind of relationship with yourself where you come to something and you're like, okay, this is something I cannot digest. Let's see
Yeah,
what it is.
yeah,
Let's work it out
yeah,
with the supervisor, with education and stuff like that. I think it's so important
yeah.
for job as a psychotherapist.
And I agree. And on the personal level, is my own sex life greatly improved?
Oh, and working yes, on something
Yeah,
important for your job is actually, I mean, in our job is actually always like this. When we
yeah,
come to the obstacle in with the client
yeah,
in the therapy
yeah,
room, when we go through
yeah,
it,
yeah.
later on we see
Yeah.
we are changing. Okay. So, what would you say to someone who is thinking about applying for the workshop, Sex in the Therapy Room? I called it Sex in the Therapy Process, just
Yeah,
because
that sounds
it
good.
had different meaning here in Serbia.
That sounds good. That sounds good. What would I say is what I hope we will achieve is allowing you to think about sexual matters in a different way so that you can maintain I'm okay, you're okay when you're talking about sex, when your client talks about sexual matters, because some of them will. Um, and it's important that we can accept this is who and how they are.
Mm.
But it's important that because if we cannot be inside their frame of reference, uh, we're not being empathic and we're not doing the work that the client really needs us to do.
Mm. I think
So the workshop will be a combination of input around sexual matters, but also a lot of discussions with colleagues about your own thinking, your own opinions, your own experience.
Mm. Is it going to be taking us a little bit on the edge of shame? Do you think it's going to be like a little bit pro?
Well, um, you see, that is a personal process. I
It,
can't say I'm not setting out
it
to shame
depends.
you,
Mm-hmm.
but if a person, if you feel shame, then what does that tell you
Mm-hmm.
about your education and how because shame is not okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. And what you're saying is, I'm not okay when I'm yeah, shame is a way of saying I'm not okay.
Mhm.
So how can we help you become unashamed?
Mhm. So it's going to help you process this. If you have shame, it's going to help you go through.
Yeah, it
Mhm.
may do, or it may be just, okay, I need to go and talk to my therapist about this.
Mhm. 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 I think that's so valuable. And I think a lot of people, I know a lot of people are so interested about this workshop. We already have a couple of them, not like five, six spots taken.
Yep.
Uh, so I know a lot of people are asking me details, are thinking about saving the post on Instagram, but I think shame is a big thing in this topic. So I think it's so important to for people to,
I can hope we can overcome that one.
yeah, yeah,
That is an objective for them to be able to talk around sexual matters and not experience shame.
and even if they do, you're
And
there to
even if they
guide.
do, then to find the way through it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. So nice. I cannot wait to for June's
Okay.
workshop and for the energy. Really, I am still like I don't have the word in English under the influence of workshop from
Uh,
February. The energy and the connection, the people. It was wonderful. How was it for you?
it was good.
Mm.
It was good. I realized that the Saturday I was more tired than I was on the Sunday.
Mm.
So, but on the Sunday, so I came away thinking that was a really good experience. I look forward to the next one.
Um, I wanted to ask you next questions. It's more about your experience working with supervisees. You worked with supervisees all, I guess, through Europe, all through world. What do you think it's like? What are the differences and what are we alike? What do we have anything in common all together?
Well, okay, as you asked the question, the first piece that arises for me is that early in work, the piece that gets in the way is wanting to do something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that is something that I've noticed with nearly all, certainly 90% of new practitioners is they want to do something rather than just be with the client.
I agree. I definitely agree. We really struggle with that. Also, I am struggling right now with that. I need to ask right question. But no, to be serious now, yeah, I completely agree. And do you think in the workshops with you, with the experience working with you, we can also work on that?
I don't know I don't know how we would work on that. Um, I don't quite know what that would mean, but if there was a space where somebody said, I want do an individual piece of therapy, and I was confident that they would be held after an individual slot of therapy, then I'm quite willing to show the way I work.
Mhm. And through that, you can model how to
And
work
so
and not.
I can model, I hope the less is more.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay. Um, okay. Do you have any questions? Do you have anything you would like to say to people watching this interview?
Um, Only that I think that the learning experience should be one that you completed.
Mm.
You should be happy and content. Uh, that, or maybe not quite content. Maybe that was good, but I want a bit more
Mhm. Mhm.
because I love to hear people's curiosity.
Mhm.
And it's a crucial element of being a psychotherapist is to be curious.
Mhm.
So that was good. Hmm. I want to have a think about a bit more. Hmm.
Mhm. Mhm. So when you finish the workshop and you see people with that kind of attitude, you know you did it was good,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
What came to my mind when you were talking about this is something I am curious about in the workshop. I am going back now, if it's okay, to the
yeah.
workshop of sex in the therapy room. And I know a lot of people are wondering, and also I was wondering, do you think it will have a part about transference and counter transference?
I can't see how we can not.
So it's going, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And maybe one of the things that I've encountered that therapists feel shameful about is that they feel sexually attracted to their client.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think there is, um, and that, if it's not worked with properly, that can be dangerous.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. In what way, can I ask? It can.
So,
In what way do you see it can be dangerous? Like getting involved or other way of.
well, there's two things. One is that um, you could, outside of awareness, start seducing them,
Mhm. Mm.
or the opposite of I shouldn't do this, I shouldn't be attracted, and pretend that you're not. And therefore,
Mhm.
you're too tightly. Yes,
Mhm.
yeah. You don't engage with the client at the right level. Yeah,
Mhm. No, I see this is so important. Yeah, it will
yeah.
be so important in the workshop. I
Mm.
will not ask any more questions. I want to leave a little
Okay.
mystery about for workshop. Yeah. Well, I have a couple of more questions that I wrote, but I really like when I ask you spontaneously and when we have the conversation. And I think we covered most of
Good.
the thing that is important for the workshop and everything. So thank you, John. Thank you for
You're
having.
welcome, Millie.
Yeah, I am also very happy to see you again and work with you again and see people having experience working with you. I think it's so valuable, so valuable.
Thank you.
As you said in the beginning, you just have a different way. Like you give connection, and through the connection, you give also the knowledge. So I'm really really excited and really happy. And this is such a big topic, an important topic. So yeah,
Mm.
definitely. Okay, so see you.
I'll see you whenever it is we're due to meet each other, which I think is next week, isn't it?
Yeah, we see each other.